Shut up and sit down.
Howdy and salutations, welcome to Broken Table Commentary, a three-man creative debate podcast all about the greatest of fake sports, professional wrestling. Every week, we each bring a different topic to the table. The topics can be ridiculous or serious, opinion or factual, creative or not, whatever we feel like. On commentary, we have our Mark, the debonair diabetic dad, Linton.
Huh? What's that? It's the Bollywood Boys!
Our historian, the Scottish Grumpelstiltskin, Michael.
I am Michael, editor of 40p.com, and I'm not grumpy.
And our critic, me, Jessel. As always, you can follow us on SoundCloud, YouTube, and Facebook as Broken Table Commentary, or follow us directly at BrokenTableCommentary.com. New episodes are broadcast every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is episode number 5, TV Tray. And holy crap, did this episode require an enormous amount of prep work. Almost as much as our WrestleMania reviews and opinions from episode 2, Banquet Table. Except here, we had to jump to outside of our cozy WWE networks, which is fantastic and a little difficult. But before we get into that, I really need to give out a huge thanks to a listener who donated, gifted a Southpaw Regional shirt to me as soon as it was on sale. He's a friend of mine, and he did it just because he really enjoyed our first 2 episodes. He just wanted to thank us, the 3 of us, for making content he really enjoyed. So Greg, thank you so much. I'm honestly incredibly humbled by your generosity, because I'm an asshole and I would never do that. So it really blows me away how kind that is, and that's super cool. And you know what? With just a little bit over a month under our belts now in episodes, and if you include all the prep work that we did, we're now over 2 months of work on Broken Table Commentary. Just overall, this has been really humbling. We have getting so much praise, all the likes, shares, comments, follows on SoundCloud and YouTube and such. So thank you guys, everybody, especially Greg for buying me a shirt, but everybody, all you listeners, we have no plans to slow down. I know, speaking just for me, I have 70 different tables for names of episodes and at least 50 other topics just already written down, ready to go. So I'm excited. Before we go even into all of that, though, I was very lucky enough to go to the Atlanta NXT live show, which was the farewell tour for Ty Dillinger, The Revival, and Shinsuke Nakamura. So I figured, I have a podcast about wrestling, and I went to a live event that's actually, surprisingly, a unique event, considering this is the last time the 4 of those fellas will be on NXT. I figured I should talk about it.
Did you enjoy it then?
I did. I actually don't like live very much. I've been to a couple live things. I don't like concerts or theater very much, which is funny, because I love performing live, but actually going there, I'm a terrible audience. Like I've said many times, I'm the critic, I'm very critical, and sometimes that gets in the way of my enjoyment. That's why I prefer polished material. I prefer the polished show with commentary and the good editing, film, and so on and so forth. But this live event was really fun. I had a great time. It was a smaller venue, which probably helped me. I really dug it. Nothing was bad, but I had 3 real standouts that I wanted to talk about in particular. First off, Ember Moon and Asuka had another NXT women's match, and it was way better than their TakeOver match, which I found to be a little lackluster. It didn't quite deliver for me, but this NXT live show, they did great. Ember Moon, just as soon as the bell rang, she was on Asuka like nobody's business. They worked really well together. It makes me really excited to see a rematch.
Did they give them more time at the live show than they did on the TakeOver event?
I wasn't timing it, so I don't know. It felt like a good amount of time. It felt like they told a complete story from beginning to end.
Gotcha. I know a lot of times they'll give the matches a lot more time at those live shows.
I couldn't tell a difference. Everything felt like it got about the same amount of time. Maybe the main event which was Andrade Cien Almas and Bobby Roode versus Hideo and Shinsuke. Maybe that match got a little bit extra time, a little more time than it normally would. But that's, Bobby Roode was playing with the audience a lot. There was a lot of good moments. Hideo looks great. I really love Hideo. I really want him to do well. Nakamura, I don't like Nakamura, and this is the best match I've seen him in. He did a good job as the hot tag, just hit his big moves and get out of there.
Now, when he does live shows, is his entrance still as long as when he does tape shows, Nakamura?
Both of them, both long entrances, absolutely, just as long.
Okay.
100%.
That's like my complaint. My only complaint about Nakamura is, man, that is a long entrance.
Hey, Undertaker is gone now, so you take the 20 minutes of his entrance, cut it in half to two 10-minute entrances, give 10 to Nakamura and 10 to Rude.
Yeah, but then you have Naomi, who's got like a 30-minute entrance now. Ugh, too long of entrances.
The big important thing to me was a couple guys that have only been on TV just a little bit, really impressed, and I really want to talk about them because they're going to be a big deal. First one was Dan Matha. He came out looking like a boring jobber boy. He just had purple trunks and a hoodie. He was versus Cassius Ono, and Ono was incredible. He's quickly becoming one of my favorites.
Oh, wow.
So we, of course, all start chanting jobber at him, and then he beats the ever-living hell out of Cassius Ono forever and keeps yelling back at us, "Who's the jobber now?" It was a great match. Probably an 8-minute, 10-minute long match of just him and Cassius Ono really having a great match, and Matha looking like a beast. He's not a power guy. He's more of a Randy Orton style. He clearly has worked a little bit with Nakamura and Hideo and these guys, learning a little bit more of the strong style, so his strikes look better than Orton's. But Dan Matha, he looked good. Not as good as Dylan Miley, who just debuted on TV, but, I like him. He's looking good. But the best of the night, the star of the night, the best match of the night was Ty Dillinger versus The Experience, Patrick Clark.
Tough enough boy.
I'm hoping he goes John Morrison route because he's great. Patrick Clark is excellent at this Jimi Hendrix Prince gimmick, the icon, the experience. It was wonderful. Ty Dillinger did all his stupid normal stuff, like pulling out his laminated 10 card. And as soon as he does, Patrick Clark gets in the ref's face and grabs a mic. He's just like, "Ref, you need to get that weapon out of this ring," to a laminated piece of paper. So Ty Dillinger shows how it's all, it's hilarious. And then Patrick Clark takes like a full minute to remove a glove. So as he's doing that, Ty Dillinger looks into his knee pad and pulls out an Uno card with a 10 on it and shows it to him. And Patrick Clark freaks out and he gets the mic again. "Get that weapon out of this ring!" And he freaks out and they take the Uno card out of the ring. And then he takes his other glove off and it takes forever. And while he's doing that, Ty Dillinger pulls out a little tiny piece of paper in his pants and he unfolds it and it's just a little tiny printed 10. And puts it up. Patrick Clark just flips out and then he grabs a little piece of paper and rips it up, and it's wonderful. Patrick Clark has improved in so many ways. He has a great character, but not only that, he sells so well. It reminds me of The Rock and Shawn Michaels, just how good they sold every move. He took so many amazing bumps. He made Ty Dillinger look like $1 million. It was awesome. It was the best match of the night. Patrick Clark is going to be an enormous star. I want him to take the NXT championship and just have it for 8 years. He's so good. It was wonderful. He'll be, if this gimmick sticks, he'll be the next The Miz, essentially. It will be wonderful. And I mean that complimentary, not in the way that The Miz was terrible for like 7 years.
You said he could be the next John Morrison, whose career ended up tanking in WWE. And now you said he could be the next The Miz, whose career barely has worked in the WWE.
He'll be better in both. He'll be better in both.
It'll be the good parts of those two combined.
Right. He was great.
So he's going for the hat trick there, and I was about to say he can be the next Matt Capitelli too.
Oh, absolutely. The next Christopher Nowinski, the next Ryan Reeves, the next Nydia.
Yeah, I noticed all those people's careers went downhill through practically no fault of their own.
The next Maven.
I saw Matt Morgan on TNA this past week. He's still looking real good.
Well, he took a 2-year break or something?
Yeah, it was a long time, but he's looking beastly, throwing people around. He looked best he's ever looked. Just speaking of people who went nowhere in WWE.
But yeah, so that was my wonderful NXT live experience. Now, some very interesting things happened on Raw and SmackDown this week, and I know Michael has a bone to pick.
And we don't know what the bone is. That's what's so exciting.
No, so I want to know. I want to know, Michael. What's your bone to pick?
Give me that bone.
I'm pissed. Well, actually, pissed off is overselling it somewhat. I'm mildly annoyed. There's a trope that the WWE do time and time again, and it always annoys me, which is when people win the number one contendership for a title by cleanly beating the champion in a singles match. They used to do it all the time in the Attitude Era, or like when Shamrock was IC champ, and it really irritated the crap out of me. And they just
for reference, Michael's talking about the Charlotte Naomi match, I'm pretty sure, yeah?
Yeah. They just used it in SmackDown there. It's like they go, oh, how could the number one contender beat the champion when they've just beat them clean? It just annoys the hell out of me when they do that.
I was expecting something much bigger, because there's bigger news than that. Jinder Mahal, jobber to the stars, is number one contender for the WWE title because of the help of them Bollywood boys.
I was saying I was surprised that was what Mike was going to say, but now that I think about that's what he is saying, I actually am agreeing with him, and that is a pretty dumb thing the more I think about it.
Oh, it's terrible, but it's standard WWE by now. I feel like I see that almost every month.
Clean wins? I don't know. I don't feel like I see it that often.
But Jinder.
I'm excited.
Silly WWE.
Have him win. 50th WWE champion, Jinder Mahal. Bring back that Punjabi prison match.
You know how everyone in the booking obviously listens to this podcast. They're so stupid. Last week I said they should hinder Jinder, not strap a rocket to his fucking arse.
Nah, see, me and Lenny are both happy about it though. We both want Jinder to do it, so they just listen to the majority.
Oh yeah, I am 100% behind Jinder. I really want him to win, so I hope he doesn't just go in there and lose, which is probably the more likely scenario. The only thing I don't like about the whole thing is if Jinder is going with the I am what all the Americans want to be. I'm going to make all the Americans hate me. At the same time, Kevin Owens is doing his big, I am the champion of the Americans, but really I'm doing it just to make all the Americans hate me. If both the top heels on SmackDown are both doing the anti-American thing, that's going to be kind of annoying, but we'll kind of have to see how that plays out.
Jinder gave a great, probably the best promo of his career. That's not saying much. It still wasn't an amazing promo, but it was a couple great lines on Talking Smack. My favorite being they asked him how he was going to deal with Orton, and he says a crocodile is always easiest to hunt after it's fed, and I'm a shark who just got a taste of blood. And that's a really good line. That was good.
It makes it sound like he's going to be all intense and vicious to beat Orton, when really it's going to be the Bollywood boys, baby.
Hey, if they keep building off of him concussing Finn Balor thing, just use that to skyrocket him. Next week, just have him mention it. It'd be great. It'd be perfect. That's all you need.
That's not what's going to happen, though. It's going to be the two guys that are smaller than Jinder that run around and call shenanigans to help him out.
I suspect their first match, Randy will win by DQ, because the ref will see the Bollywood boys, and that'll lead to the Punjabi prison match.
I think if they're going with the he's rich boy Indian, which kind of seemed like that's what they were going with, I don't know if we'll ever see the Punjabi prison, because that's more for a savage Indian character, not so much rich boy Indian, everybody wants to be like me character. But we'll see.
It'll be interesting, because his Talking Smack promo didn't mention that much of that rich boy stuff. It mentioned how he's just straight up better than everyone else, but I didn't get the same like Alberto Del Rio, Muhammad Hassan style.
Yeah, and during the SmackDown promo, he was kind of the opposite, and he was being rich boy Indian. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what way they go with it.
Either way, I'm super psyched to see which way they go with it.
I'm so unpsyched for a Jinder Mahal main event push. I'm practically an antimatter of excitement here.
All right. Well, Michael, who would you have put over in that six-pack challenge to become number
I'm
one
sure it'd be
contender?
Luke, right? It'd be Luke Harper.
Well, yeah, if they've got the match next week's non-title, isn't it? Yes, the House of Horrors. So
Oh yeah, the House of Horrors. We'll talk about that next episode.
yeah, so Orton will still be the champ by the next pay-per-view, and he'd already started something with Harper, which they've seemed to have dropped.
They shook hands and are both baby faces. That's over. That's done.
I don't think Harper is a babyface. He's done a couple things the last couple weeks. I think can just do whatever right now. I don't think he's set in stone as either.
Harper's definitely babyface. He's wearing a clean shirt and has his hair pulled back. That's babyface mode.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
With all that said, let's move on to our first topic.
All right, first topic is mine. My two topics are hopping back into a time machine and discussing the best match of 2016 under the WWE umbrella, which would be anything on Raw, SmackDown, WWE pay-per-view, NXT, Cruiserweight Classic, and then the best match outside of the WWE umbrella in 2016.
I really like the precedence this is setting, because we could do this multiple times. Just pick another random 1989.
Yeah.
We have to do that. I think that'd be really fun. So if this goes well, we might do this again. Listeners, let us know if you like this idea, like this time capsule idea. We'll do that kind of thing.
So we'll start with each of us giving our answer on the best WWE match of 2016. And Jessel, you can go first.
Sure. Best match of the year 2016 was hashtag DIY versus Revival 2 out of 3 falls at NXT TakeOver, whatever it was. That match was perfect. It was the best tag team match. It was the best emotion, best story, best work rate. Absolute, hands down, best match of the year. It was my favorite match of the year. It was fabulous. It was so good.
Oh, I want to go next.
We'll do it.
Best match of 2016 is DIY versus the Revival. 2 out of 3 falls. NXT Toronto is the one you were thinking of.
There we go.
And it's everything Jessel said. It is.
Are we going to get that three-peat, Michael?
It is the best match of the last couple years. One of the best tag matches I've ever seen. Couldn't be the best tag match.
It's absolutely the best tag match since at least 2010.
Well, what was the best? What happened in 2010?
No, I'm just saying at least in this decade.
Oh, that's just yeah. I got you.
Having to put it against all the TLCs and stuff, I'd have to rewatch to decide.
We're not repeating, although that match was on my shortlist, as was both the Women's Hell in a Cell match and the Triple Threat at Mania 32. But the one I went for, because I'm a contrarian sod here, is from the Cruiserweight Classic, and it's Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander.
That was a good match.
That's a good one.
It was a shockingly good. Well, that's me talking from a perspective of not really knowing Cedric Alexander before. I know he has a big reputation, but it's the first time I got to see them within that environment, and it was a really, really good match. And they did the gimmick that got him his contract on screen, which was quite funny, but it did feel like that was his coming out match. But they haven't really done anything with him on Raw since.
Well, I mean, he got injured.
Did he? Oh, I completely missed that then.
Yeah, he's injured. He's out for a couple more months and has been out for a month and a half, I think.
But hopefully when he comes back, they'll push him because that was a really good match, and he's got a lot. There's the hints that he could really catch on with the crowd given the right opportunities.
Yeah, there were several from the Cruiserweight Classic that I had in my short list.
Yeah, Cruiserweight Classic was good stuff. It was. The only reason not the only reason, but the reason DIY Revival 2 out of 3 tops it for me is tournaments tend to not have very much story or character to them, and this tag feud, the two of them, there's so much story involved in this match that, including the Ciampa Gargano Cruiserweight Classic match, is part of the story
Yep.
of this tag team match. So just all of these great matches built up to this 2 out of 3. Plus the Revival is just some of the best characters currently going. Johnny Gargano's a little wooden boy with no personality, but everyone else was great. And Gargano can work, so it was wonderful. Wonderful. That's why it beat out all the Cruiserweight Classic stuff for me.
All right, so we'll hop into a match outside of the WWE umbrella, and we'll snake it. So, Michael, you can go ahead and answer that one.
Oh boy, this was difficult.
Very difficult.
I used to watch lots of wrestling, but now that I've got a full-time parenting job, my time's somewhat limited. And I thought I was going to get stuck going for the Great War from Bound for Glory, where the Hardys beat the Decay via voodoo, spirit transference, teleportation, and swanton bomb to a table. However, there's other matches like, for example, the Aztec Warfare and stuff from Japan, which I think could have made my shortlist, but I've not had a chance to see it, or in some of them I couldn't find it because some shows aren't on UK Netflix. Thank you very much. However, you'll be glad to know I remembered that I saw a Battle Royal type match last year I really liked. And it is the 2016 Square Go from ICW. It's essentially a Royal Rumble with a Scottish name. 5 wrestlers draw the random ability to bring weapons to the ring, and the first person to do that, his weapon is his tag team partner. It's very Glaswegian. The commentary is very Glaswegian. You've got a point where the comedy jobber comes in and they go, "Here's King Sharp accompanied by his family and 2 other things I've never seen before in my life." And he walks into the big giants, and the commentator goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ!" Chap gets thrown over the top rope, lands in the crowd, and the crowd surf him to avoid him getting eliminated from the Rumble. Later on in the match, a heel gets dumped and tries the very same thing, and the crowd just dump him. It starts with there's a chap called the Iron Man, Joffy. He starts, and then they think Big Damo, who's now in NXT, Devin Killen, the Sanity. He's a big face at the time, and they think he's going to start, but the evil owner comes out and says he's been suspended from the match. So the whole thing is that he's in the match, but he's getting rid of all his competition via legal means because he's got power. There's folk that are more recognisable to a mainstream audience now, like Trent Seven and Wolfgang. Dave Mastiff is fun in it, although he seems to get bigger every time I see him. In this match, he looked like he just ate Big Daddy for breakfast. And I'll tell you, when a 500-pounder German suplexes cruiserweights, they look dead. The Glaswegian commentator, "Oh, I've not seen this many Germans since the Nazi rallies." Oh, God. But another thing I like is that the fans, when they're instead of counting down, they stomp their feet on the ground for the next entrance. So it's kind of like, it's like a thunderstorm. It's like the Icelandic fans, the Euro 2016. So it adds a sort of an intensity to the match as well from the outside. And then you've got the whole, you've got all their big men, and I like the bit where they go, "Who could eliminate someone the size of the Big Show?" Well, actually, he gets eliminated every year. It's quite easy, By the end of the match, you've got the Iron Man, who, you wouldn't believe this, but he's actually the Iron Man of the match, and Wolfgang. And very surprisingly, the crowd actually side with a chap who's been in there for an hour over Wolfgang, who's a quite big star. They told storylines without them actually getting in the way of the match. They showcased a whole bunch of new folk. The crowd loved it, and it set up storylines in the company for the rest of the year. So it did everything I think a good battle royal should.
I really want to watch this. I'd never heard of it before.
No, I've never heard of it
either. The Insane Championship Wrestling, whatever.
It's a Square Go. It's
Square Gold.
It's Square Go. It's Glaswegian for having a bit of a brawl outside, shall we say? And it's from 24th January 2016. And because I watched it earlier today to remind my notes, I found that you can find it via RuTube, which is one of these weird pseudo YouTubes, shall we say.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to look it up. I want to see it. I've never heard of it before. It sounds like something you love. I want to give it a shot.
It's like a Royal Rumble, but completely Glaswegian.
And it's got so many familiar names that we know now.
Yeah, because of the UK tournament and such.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and Noam Dar's in it too. There's another name you'll know.
Yeah. Does he do the Dar Wars?
No.
Oh, that's his worst gimmick. All right, my turn. This thing was really difficult to pick a match for. I'm really bad when it comes to watching just If someone says, here, watch this match and see how great these guys work together, and I don't have any story around it, I really have a hard time getting into it. And that's usually what people do on the internet is they say, hey, check out this Japanese match and look how cool these guys work together. I'm like, oh, well, that was impressive, but what I don't get what's going on. So I basically was going to have to pick a match that was going to either be a Lucha Underground or TNA match, and TNA matches are trash. So my pick is Aztec Warfare 2, which is on Netflix. Everybody can find it unless you live in a bad place that won't let you see it.
Yeah, Aztec Warfare is fun. I like Aztec Warfare.
It's a 20-man Royal Rumble, basically. You can only be eliminated by pinfall or submission. You can use weapons. People can interfere and do whatever they want. You can fight on the outside. Rey Mysterio shows up during this, and I'm not usually a fan of Rey Mysterio. This is one of those times where the crowd was just so hyped because this is such the perfect place for Rey Mysterio to be. And he hadn't been there that long and taken over lots of storylines. This is just his first time popping up to wrestle. And the crowd was so hyped for Rey Mysterio. And him and Phoenix were such respectful and nice to each other that it was so perfect for both their characters that even I was pretty psyched for Rey Mysterio being there. So the crowd really made me even enjoy Rey Mysterio in this match, which is hard to do. The drum roll that did the countdown for everybody to enter was so perfectly Lucha Underground-y. That just makes me so incredibly happy. Joey Ryan's there. He immediately gets there and runs and handcuffs himself to the outside so he can't be put in the ring and get eliminated. And so people are just constantly going up to him and throwing punches at him and throwing people on top of him, and he's just getting his ass kicked the whole time. If you don't know much about Lucha Underground, they do female versus male wrestling, and they just don't make it a big deal. Like, you'll just see it, and it's just natural, and it feels natural, and nobody has to get offended. And if you watch this is a good example of it. It doesn't have my favorite female wrestler from Lucha Underground, Sexy Star, but it has one of their others that is very good, and she competes in it, and that'll be a new thing for a lot of wrestling fans to see. It's got hardcore stuff. It's got bricks being thrown on top of people's heads, people getting thrown through windows. It's got a little wrestler, a little midget guy who is not a leprechaun gimmick. He's just a wrestler, and he just goes out there and wrestles. When they do the Aztec Warfare, it's basically the culmination of the half of a year of feuds and stuff. So if you haven't been watching, you might be a little bit confused. But Matt Stryker, I think, is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And he does a wonderful job of making it to where if this is your first time watching the match, you can easily catch on to everything that's going on. He explains it with such ease. He doesn't spend too much time on one thing. He moves on to things super quickly. He puts all the pieces together for this huge match to make it all perfect for a first person watching or someone who's been watching all along, which is just wonderful. There's a special entrant number 21, which, man, I don't even want to tell you guys what happens because I want everybody to watch it. So I'm not gonna tell people exactly what happens, but watch it because at the very end it gets really ridiculous, and there's this great final wrestler who's got all these different moves that work as his finisher move. I do quotes for that because he uses them to finish people off, but they're not really finishing moves. But everybody looks good in the match. It's a wonderful match. It showcases all the things that are great about Lucha Underground, and I think it is the best match outside of a WWE match of 2016.
I really wanted to see it, but damn Netflix.
Netflix is a damn.
You'll know that both of us have picked Battle Royals, so I'm very excited to put what Jesse picked.
I picked a 1v1. I'll go ahead and say this. I really liked Aztec Warfare 2. I just didn't think it was as good as Aztec Warfare 1, so that immediately, for whatever reason, eliminated it for me. I watched a lot of other great matches this season, Season 2, Lucha Underground. The Nunchuck match is incredible. The No Mas match is really good. Six to Surrender was an entire episode that was just this one six-man elimination match that was really good until the finish went on just a little too long because they were dragging it to an hour. Just, they were, that's all. Just lots of really great stuff. Ultima Luchados had a bunch of great matches, but for Lucha Underground has a singular problem for me, and that's they have a hard time coming up with convincing finishes to matches for me. They'll hit these big moves all the time, but they won't finish things, and then just, suddenly the match is over. And that happens a surprising amount of times. Aztec Warfare 2 didn't do that, but like I said, I liked the other Aztec Warfare better. But like Six to Surrender had a really weird finish, and a couple other ones have a little bit weird finishes for me. But I really like them, and they were all really close contenders. So with all of them out, I then tried to watch the best matches I could find from New Japan and Ring of Honor and PWG and TNA. I liked Galloway Lashley okay, but it had a weird finish. It had a great moment with Galloway throwing himself over the top rope and crashing into a table. It was really, really cool, but then the finish was real lame. Just so many matches had a hard time building to an effective climax for me. Shinsuke AJ was really slow, and I don't like Shinsuke, so I found the match dull. It was better than NXT Shinsuke, but it didn't do it for me. So I was having a very hard time with this, because I just... for me, best is kind of like its own echelon. There's like a bunch of matches might be great, but I don't like picking whatever one of those very good matches are if I don't feel like the match itself is great. So I had a really hard time until I went back and went through this huge long list and finally found one that I'd heard everybody talk about. It made a bunch of waves. It led to a weird feud with a legend that didn't go very well, but was really interesting. But it stars one of the best wrestlers from Lucha Underground in his New Japan gimmick, the King of the Indies, and it's Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. That match was incredible. A lot of people give it crap because there's a lot of acrobatics to it. There's a lot of flippy-doos and stuff. But I actually think the match tells a great story about why all those things happen. The match is about two guys not only proving they're better than each other, to win the match, but they want the crowd's favor to be better than each other. And there's counter after counter after counter. They go for a flip to a kick to counter it with a suplex that they land on their feet and try to go for another. It's so smart and fast and good. There's a meme moment where both guys hit the ropes on the opposite sides of the ring, flip and land on their knee. Nobody got hurt. And everyone freaks out. And that was the only thing I remembered from it for a long time. And I thought that was like the end of the match. But it's just the beginning of that match. And it really, really works so well. And while I didn't have any of the story leading up to it, the match itself told an incredible story. Every strike looked amazing. Every move looked amazing. The 630 is amazing that Ricochet does. Ospreay is incredible. It just was a phenomenal match. It reminded me of a match from almost exactly 20 years ago that changed how wrestling is viewed for everyone. It changed the era of Hogan-style wrestling to the new era of attitude work rate and stuff. The good mid-card guys. It reminded me of Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko for the ECW TV championship in 96, 97. Like, that match is shockingly fast and tight and counters, and there's two guys that know each other. There was no story leading up to the match. It was just two guys having a great match and showing off their skill and telling a story in the ring instead of needing a big story out of the ring to get you there. And that's what this Ricochet-Will Ospreay match reminds me of. Ricochet and Will Ospreay are going to be the names for the next 10 years. They're going to be everything. It's going to be fab. Lenny had Will Ospreay show up in his BTFI. My wife had Ricochet show up. Just a lot of great things are coming to him. And this match was awesome. It was my best match of the year. It was a true 5-star great match for me. So that was my best out of the company.
That is a good one. It was in my top 5, so I am happy with that one being there.
Can sense that you're becoming a Will Ospreay fan quite quickly then.
It's hard to say a fan when I don't care. I think he's good, but I don't mark for him or anything. I think he's good, and he's put on matches. I would like to become a fan of him, but right now he has 2 matches that I really like. We'll see if he can do more and can create a character I really like. Because Ricochet has a character I really like, and matches I really like. So we'll see. but there's hope.
Which of the two is the one that Vader had his
Will
feud with
Ospreay.
after Will Ospreay? Okay. I thought so. I couldn't remember.
And the Will Ospreay Vader stuff was just terrible. It didn't work. It was
I knew I
really
didn't
silly.
want to pay attention to it. That's why I couldn't remember.
Vader's great, but him and good matches have been separated by about 2 decades now.
Yeah, no kidding. With all that said, let's move on to topic 2.
Yeah, that's funny moments, isn't it?
That's your topic, the funniest, favorite funny moment in the WWF/E.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be deliberate comedy because, we all know when the WWE try to be funny, it can be quite forced at times.
Yeah.
It's, any moment in the WWE, TV, pay-per-view, whenever, where something has been either intentionally or unintentionally funny, or hilarious to you for whatever reason. And I realised after I set this topic that I'd made it WWE, which meant sadly the Shockmaster was ineligible.
Now, I'll go ahead and say this. I have never done the amount of research that I did for this one ever. I found... I can't wait to talk about mine. I'm going to go ahead and go.
Well, yeah, after your build-up, I want you to go first.
I am the historian today, fellas. Let me tell you both, and everyone listening, about the R-Truth Spider Ladder saga. My specific moment is the 2016 Rumble, where R-Truth runs down into the Rumble, pulls out a ladder, climbs up it, and reaches for the briefcase that's not there because he's an idiot and thinks it's money in the bank. But did you know that joke, that singular joke, which by itself is very funny, has a 5-year history?
Get out.
That joke started on Raw, July 11th, 2011.
I hope you've got back up here.
R-Truth in heel mode comes out and gives a promo about being in Money in the Bank, and he proceeds to tell everybody how upset he is that he is being kept down because he has acrophobia, and he's afraid of spiders, and there better not be any spiders in that match because that briefcase gonna get got. Now, that moment birthed two different joke series. It birthed the Ladder series of jokes and the Spider series of jokes. The Spider jokes were all terrible. Every single one of them wasn't funny. He lost King of the Ring because Wade Barrett pretended there was a spider on him. He lost a match with Stardust because Stardust brought a bunch of plastic spiders to the ring. All that's bad. But the Ladder saga is incredible. The next important point of this 7-point history to get to this joke is the WrestleMania 31 Intercontinental title ladder match. R-Truth is in it. Commentary points it out. R-Truth is afraid of ladders. He is afraid of heights. So what happens? R-Truth has a singular small story inside of this big match. He sets up a ladder 3 times. First time he sets it up, and he sets up one that's too small, and he's too afraid to climb it. Then he gets beat over the head. Second time, he finally grabs a ladder that's tall enough, and he's about to climb it to win the match. But he's taken out of the match again. That's part 2. Then the third time, everyone's out. He gets up the ladder and he climbs it. He climbs the ladder, beating his fear of ladders and acrophobia. Has his hands on the belt before Wade Barrett comes up, bullhammers him, knocks him off for a big heel heat. It's incredible. That ladder match is great, just in general, as well as being, just for the R-Truth saga, just really is part of the story. On Raw, June 8th, 2015, R-Truth comes out, because everyone's talking about Money in the Bank, and he comes out saying, I'm ready for Money in the Bank now, I've conquered my fear of ladders, and Corporate Kane just stops him and says, you're not even in the match! R-Truth, what? Oh, my bad, y'all. And he leaves. There's a great Fallout video afterwards with him being so confused because he's beaten ladders. He's finally not afraid. Todd feels like, how do we know you're not afraid? R-Truth says, well, I'll show you. And he goes over and there's a ladder lying on the side of the dock. He goes over to it and he looks like he's going to pick it up, but then he just yells at a ladder, what you going to do now? And that's the end of the video. It's perfect. It made me laugh out loud when I saw it. Then you have SmackDown November 19th, 2015, a Miz TV segment where all the guys are talking about the tournament for the title for Survivor Series, and R-Truth comes out talking about how he's going to win this tournament, and of course, he's not in that tournament. He's not in that match at all. My bad, y'all. He gives Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose a hug, says, I'm not touching you guys, and leaves all the heels. It's wonderful. Then you have SmackDown Miz TV segment on January 7th, 2016, where he comes out and they're talking about the Rumble. He comes out and just said, Alberto Del Rio, I'm answering your United States Championship Open Challenge. That doesn't exist. That's never happened before. Alberto Del Rio never did that. The Miz is so frustrated with him. He's like, look, we're talking about the Royal Rumble. R-Truth is just, oh, how can I get in that? Like it hasn't been in a bunch of Royal Rumbles before this point. And then the next Royal Rumble, he comes out with the ladder for Money in the Bank. Oh my God, it's so perfect. It's so wonderful that there's this long running gag that's been going forever, leading up to this great moment in a poopy Rumble. The best moment in that Rumble, even. I love it. It makes me laugh every time. Knowing the whole history just makes me love it even more. And I'm shocked that the history is that old, but it is. It's a long-running joke. It's great. So that's my favorite, hands down.
R-Truth did a lot of wonderful, wonderful stuff when you think about it. I loved all his little Jimmy stuff. I had a little Jimmy shirt.
I did too. I liked him as a heel. It really, really breathed some air into that terrible 2011 John Cena run.
Him smoking that cigarette in front of all the kids after he attacked Morrison. That was great.
Oh, I love it.
It just came out of nowhere. It's so not like anything else at the time. He just light up a cigarette. Well, he's cool.
The smoking was in London, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Because, do you know, the funny thing, people actually complained to the police because smoking indoors in a public venue is illegal here. And they had to point out that he was performing, and therefore it's not covered by the law.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was only that one. He did it that 1 week, and then never did it again. The smoking. But man, that 1 week, woo boy, I jumped on the R-Truth train so fast.
If you guys want to watch the entire R-Truth Spider Ladder saga. I'm gonna put a playlist up of it, because every single one of these things, including the entire IC title match, WWE has put up online for free for people to watch on YouTube. So I want to put up a playlist on our Broken Table Commentary YouTube site. You can just come and click it and watch the whole saga from beginning to end. It's wonderful. Great, great television. Tired myself out. I'm going to eat a carrot cake kiss.
I was just getting distracted there because I can. You're sitting there and you suddenly smell smoke, but it looks. I think somebody's having a barbecue at the end of the street.
Yum.
That's R-Truth smoking at the end of the street, my friend.
Justin gave us the War and Peace version of R-Truth's career there. Do you want to go then, and I'll finish it, given it's my topic. So you
okay. Well, I have an answer that after days of researching I came up with, and then as Jessa was talking I came up with a different answer. So I'm not sure which answer to give, because
both.
All right, well, here's the answer. The answer I had written down is it's an Eddie Guerrero moment. Eddie Guerrero is not only the greatest wrestler of all time, but he's also the funniest wrestler of all time. And he used to do a light-cheeked steel gimmick for people who don't remember Eddie Guerrero. He did all kinds of great things through that. He had these funny little backstage shenanigan-y videos with him and Chavo. He once stole Ric Flair's Royal Rumble number because Eddie Guerrero's number was too high and he didn't want to go in the ring that early. And I'm pretty sure this was his last match ever. I'm not exactly 100% sure. But it was a match with Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, that was his last match.
Yeah, the referee gets bumped out by Kennedy, and so Eddie goes and gets a steel chair, and he's planning on. I guess we were to assume, since the referee was out when he went and got the chair, he's planning on just using the chair on Kennedy. But then when he gets in the ring, the referee starts moving, so Eddie just stops for a second, thinks about it, and then he just slams the chair on the ground, throws it into Kennedy's hands, and then falls over and acts like he gets hit by the chair. And so when the referee comes to, Eddie pops his little head up and he points to Kennedy. He's like, he hit me. And he lays back down, and the referee disqualifies Kennedy. And that's how Eddie Guerrero wins the match. And it's so funny on so many levels. Kennedy sells it so perfectly. And the fact that this is like the only time in the history of wrestling where the sound of a chair actually matters to the referee. We hear that the chair gets hit on people's head all the time when there are referees just like turned around, and it never matters. The referee's always ignored. But in this match, it was very, very important that the sound of the chair hitting the ring is heard, and then he throws it to Kennedy so Kennedy can get disqualified.
Kennedy is an underrated comedic talent because he's really funny in TNA too.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I thought he was. Sorry, I interrupted you. My bad. I'll go back to eating my carrot cake kisses. My bad.
You're going to interrupt me. I'm just not going to agree that he's underrated as a funny talent. But he gets him disqualified, and he gives him a little Eddie Guerrero wave goodbye as he gets knocked out of the match. And the match was for like a spot on the Survivor Series team, so it wasn't just a throwaway match. It was a match that actually mattered. So that was what I had come up with as my favorite funny moment in WWE. But then as Jessel was talking, I remembered the backstage segment with Goldust, Booker T, and The Rock, where Goldust is trying to imitate The Rock, while The Rock and Booker T are trying to come up with a game plan for their tag match later on in the night. And Goldust, and I can't explain it well because I didn't want to watch the video while Jessica was talking, but I can just remember bits and pieces of it. I'll make sure we post it up on the Facebook page as well. But it's Goldust trying to imitate The Rock, and The Rock's reactions and Booker T's reactions are just incredibly hilarious. And it's the funniest thing, now that I remember it, that has ever happened in wrestling. So I will make sure that gets posted as well. But those are my two answers. So there. And, now when I watch it, I'm probably going to be like, well, that's not funny at all. Why do I think that is funny? But there you go. There's the funniest moments for me.
Well, I have a great sense of schadenfreude, which is why I wanted to shortlist stuff like the time Viscera fell over, which was during a hardcore match from the Acolytes and the Hollies, and you see Viscera walking in the background, and then he just falls over. But which is real. You can find that on YouTube quite easily. There's other stuff which is a bit more intellectual in wrestling standards, like many pay-per-views that Heenan and Munson commentated on together because their chemistry is amazing. But I've got my one-liner, which I was sticking with, and then, as truth tells you, while Lenny was talking there, I suddenly remembered another one that had to be mentioned that no one's been mentioned so far. So the one-liner, it's from a show which I don't know if you've seen before. It's No Mercy in Manchester, 1999. It's a UK-only pay-per-view, which is on the network. If you've not seen it, you don't really need to see it because it's mostly awful. They love the Brits so much. They had a house show in Canada the same day, and they had like nearly everyone on the house show, and we got Steve Austin, Undertaker, Mick Foley, and the B Team. But at the start, you've got the corporate ministry out to the ring, and Shane McMahon's hyping up the card. The Brood versus the Acolytes and Viscera. Billy Gunn versus Mick Foley, incredible matches here. Oh, there's even a Gilbert Tiger Ali Scene match on this show.
Yeah.
But he's hyping up how the foes of the corporate ministry will fall, and he gets to Kane, and he says, Kane, tonight you're taking on Midian, the Destroyer, and tonight, Kane, Midian is going to give you the beating of your life. And at the time, me and Kat were just watching this, and we couldn't stop laughing, and we just kept replaying this moment over and over again. You'll be shocked to know that Midian loses to Kane quite easily. I know it's astounding, but the thing that really jumped at me there when Lenny was talking is from Survivor Series 2006, and there's a Survivor match between the Spirit Squad and Legends.
No, I remember that one.
Yeah, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Sergeant Slaughter, and Ron Simmons. Roddy Piper was meant to be in it, but they just caught his cancer, so he was obviously not there. But Mitch, the rubbish Spirit Squad member, who's one of the only two they brought back last year, and Arn Anderson are on the outside as enforcers, and there's a whole contretemps where everyone gets involved, and Arn Anderson gets thing where John Simmons gets counted out, Mitch hits someone, and then the ref turns. And he tells Simmons to get out because he's been counted out. He tells Arn Anderson to go to the back because he interfered. He tells Mitch to go to the back because he interfered. And he warns somebody's going to disqualify them. And when they're all complaining, and when it kindly cuts down, Jerry Lawler, and one of his few lines that made me laugh in the last 20 years or so, goes, "I've genuinely never seen that before. The referee saw everything that went on and responded accordingly." So yes, it's the competent referee.
With all that hilarity over with, let's move on to topic 3.
Topic 3!
Topic 3 was my boy, and I wanted to move into a slightly different realm, because I also am a film critic. I was one for a very long time, and I really enjoy doing that. I've watched all the WWE films, so you know what? I said, you know what, guys? Let's pitch a WWE movie starring at least 3 WWE wrestlers.
And I'm very excited to do so.
I expected this to be a short round. Apparently not. Apparently Michael wrote the whole script and is going to be reenacting it.
Oh my god, no he's not.
Well, just like how Michael put every match on every Raw for the BTFI, even though he didn't have to, he cast every role in his movie with a WWE wrestler.
I did that as well, but the cast is not that big, so it's okay.
Oh goodness. Well, mine is a short, so I'm gonna go ahead and do mine. My movie is the important thing for me is I really want it to be there's a genre of cop flicks in Japan called Hard Boiled. Chow Yun-Fat does a lot of them. I think Chow Yun-Fat did a lot of them anyway. But there's the hard-boiled cops, which are these brutal, high intake John Woo face-off style cop flicks in Japan. And I was like, we have a lot of great Japanese wrestlers. Why don't we actually make like a Japanese movie filmed in Japan, directed by a Japanese guy, have it be subtitled, like the whole thing's in Japanese. So I want Hideo Itami, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Asuka as my 3 leads in Dando, or in American, Ballistic. A hard-boiled cop action flick, all in Japanese. Hideo plays the lead, a good guy cop who's dealing with the destruction of his marriage and family because of his anger issues. Shinsuke Nakamura plays an evil gunrunner funding a gang war in the streets of Tokyo. And Asuka is the badass Shinsuke henchman, which you then find out she's actually in a plant and working with the good guys.
Oh, I knew it.
At the end of the movie. You throw in cameos from every Japanese wrestler that's ever been in the WWE, Tajiri, Akira Tozawa, Funaki, Michinoku, all of the Japanese talent, and that's it. Just give me a hard-boiled cop action flick starring all those guys. I think it would be super fun to film. It's international because we sometimes forget that they're the world wrestling entertainment, and I would love to see that happen. So yeah, Dando. Starring Hideo Itami, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Asuka.
I like it.
It'd be fun. It'd be nice and simple, easy money. I'd watch it. Because that's what they do nowadays. They just make, B-grade cop action flicks.
Well,
So why not go ahead and do a Japanese one?
What's the WWE film coming out? The new superhero movie? Slight.
It doesn't have any wrestlers.
Yeah, it doesn't have any wrestlers, but it is a...
But it looks good.
It does look good.
It looks good. I will be seeing that as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched for that one.
Because WWE movies without wrestlers tend to be really good. Oculus was super good.
Yeah, Oculus rock.
There was one starring, what's-his-face from Will and Grace, Barricade, which is really good.
There's the one that had the guy had one of the hobbits from Lord of the Rings that I didn't particularly like. It was like a apocalypse movie.
Apocalypse zombie vampire.
I wasn't crazy about that one.
Daywatch?
No, Daywatch is a different vampire one, which
That was a different
is
one.
really good. I guess I'll go next if Michael's got a book that he's going to be reading. Is that okay, Michael?
Yeah,
Michael.
sure. I'm reorganizing chapter 1.
All right, mine is not that long. This is a Christmas movie. It's called Home for the Haunted Holidays. Theodore Brute, played by Rhino, hasn't seen his family in decades. None of his siblings have made much effort to spend the holidays together, but every Christmas, Theodore sends a Christmas card to each of his 5 siblings. His little brother, Paul, played by The Miz, who is a rock star wannabe that lives with his girlfriend, Donna Blitz, who's played by Naomi. She's one of those celebrities who's famous just for being a famous celebrity. It's never like mentioned like what she ever did. She's just a famous celebrity who has shows about her being a famous celebrity. His big brother, Jeremiah, played by Eric Rowan, who's a reclusive law student that is trying to turn his life around after his 4th divorce. His little sister, Hermione Brute Bronx, played by Alexa Bliss, a successful MMA fighter who married her incredibly dim-witted but fucking studly trainer, Bubba Bronx, played by Baron Corbin. And his twin sister, who's just a few minutes earlier born than he is, Tessa Brute, who's played by Natalia. She is a struggling wedding photographer that just wants to see the family together again. This Christmas is different, as the yearly card from Theodore has one request: to spend Christmas together at Theodore's castle in Vancouver. Not everyone is gung-ho right off the bat, but Tessa is relentless with her encouragement and support of Theodore, and it doesn't take long for everyone to find themselves wandering the dark, dusty, decorative halls, complaining every step of the jolly way. But the longer the Brutes spend in the castle, the more it becomes obvious that something isn't right. Theodore is nowhere to be found, and his butler, Oxford Dean, who's played by Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Neville, and Mark Henry — it's very spooky, they're different all the time — has no straight answers to any of their questions, but only riddles to thicken the plot. The Brutes are pulled into a holiday mystery as they try and solve the whereabouts of Theodore, growing closer as a family through every test and learning that the holidays have the power to turn siblings into best friends. As they finally discover a gift wrapped under the tree that is holding Theodore's urn, they realize their brother knew he was going to die from heart cancer, but wanted to make sure his family came together with his spirit one last time. As they mourn the loss of the brother they barely knew, the ghost of Theodore Brute watches over them high above the tinsel and lights before fading away as the snow begins to fall on Christmas Day as it comes to the end. So there's my family Christmas
WWE
movie.
Christmas Clue. I'm into it.
Home for the Haunted Holidays. There's my big WWE movie.
I was hoping that Rhino would do more, but once you killed him, I was like, oh, I understand that.
Oh, he's a spirit. He's a spirit.
And the butler, they're all playing the same butler. He just race and body swaps constantly.
Yep, and there's no explanation as to why.
That's the real mystery.
You would think.
You're saying
But-
you're saying a lot about race relations here, and I like that.
Yeah, that was the intention.
Oh, I could tell.
And it's rated G.
Oh yeah, my rating would be R, of course.
Hard
boiled
R.
would have to be it wouldn't be a hard R, but it would be an R. All right, Michael.
Are you ready? Well, you see, when Jessel said for this, I was thinking, well, I thought of what they usually do, and I thought, oh, sod that, let's do something fun. Well, fun by my operative of the words. Have you heard of a writer called Agatha Christie?
Yes.
Nope.
Good. Oh, she's my favourite writer of all time. And not only that, but I feel her books are like they are guides into how to write prose better for paying markets. And when people ask me what's my favourite book of all time, which is a terrible question to ask a bibliophile, because they go, oh God, what can I narrow it down to? I tend to say it's a book of ours called And Then There Were None, which has been adapted several times by film. Usually the BBC adapted it the year before last. It's quite a good one. And I thought, oh, what if the WWE had their own version? I should cast it. So I have. So for those who don't know, the plot is very simple. In fact, it's so simple, it's been reused by nearly every show on the earth practically now. 10 strangers arrive on an island. They have been sent there via means dubious, and they find that the reason they're there, isn't there, and none of them know each other, and their host isn't there. And that's when the first person dies, after they've all been accused of crimes that have been, hushed up. And they suddenly realise that there's only the only 10 people who were ever on this island, so one of them has to be the killer. It's a really, there's a lot of stuff in there which is, I admit, is slightly cliche now, but it's cliche because every writer and screenwriter has copied the template, shall we say. And the theory that people listening to this don't know the basic plot, I aim not to spoil it, so I've given the cast list in a reasonable alphabetical order instead of So we start with Dr. Armstrong, who has a secret from his past where he operated on a woman while drunk, and he's got all these he's got this brooding. He tries to seem all kind of jovial, but he's got this sort of brooding demons which play on him as things come on. And I was trying to think of someone who seems all quite happy, but you could see him doing brooding and sort of tormented very well. And the person that came to mind there would be WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, so I suspect that there's a semi-sort in this, in that if you know somebody big's playing the role, you can assume they're a slightly big role in the thing. But I tried to avoid that by trying to thingy for each role. Or he's a sort of hard-nosed, slightly corrupt cop who he perjured a testimony to send an innocent man to jail so he could make money. And nobody on the island really trusts him because he went there undercover, which gets blown instantly. So we need a sort of tough, hard Englishman for that role. So William Regal basically casts himself in WWE terms. Then we've got Emily Brent, the really old sort of really scary Bible basher type, and this annoys me because I couldn't think of the right person to cast for this role. Actually, I could think of the right person to cast for the role, but it would be Sensational Sherry, and you can spot the flaw there. So the best person really going, which would be a veteran female, I came up with was Beth Phoenix, but I'm not very happy with that casting of the lot of them. You've got Lombard, who's the take no shit mercenary type, who he's one of the stars of the thing. I've cast Steve Austin in that role. Then you've got Anthony Marston, who has an ego the size of a planet. He's all about himself, and did people notice him? And even when his crimes, he's like, oh, how much it happened to me, and everything's all about him and that. And when I was thinking, who could I cast in this role? Austin Aries immediately came to mind. I thought he'd be really good in that role. So then you've got the general. I swift up that by saying I cast DDP as the role of the vet, the army vet with who sent his.
That one's an interesting one.
Yeah, I was trying to think of someone who could you could sentence him as being the sort of the old vet in terms of wrestling terms as opposed to army terms. I thought sort of analogy there, but that. Then you've got the sort of the couple who they're there as the staff, but they have we talked here. They also have a dodgy past, and acting couple. I went for the Miz and Maurice, which just leaves us with Vera, who she's a schoolmistress who can't get a job due to stuff in her past, and she's essentially the main female role in the show. And I was trying to think of who in the women's roster currently could A, have the chops for the role, and B, could seem quite nice, but then you'd realise that they're actually quite a horrific person, or because it's quite a meaty role. So I was tempted to give it to Bailey, but I didn't think I couldn't see her in the role. It didn't work. So Sasha's got it, and finally the old judge. Well, I needed an old guy for that. And I thought, who epitomises really old in the WWE now? And well, it's I've given it to the WWE Hall of Famer Bruno Sammartino. Those 10 on an island. One of them's a killer, and the body count is quite extensive. And
would you? I know that some productions change the finish. They change the killer.
No, we're going
because I know a couple different stage productions change the killer. So just curious, would you change the killer?
I say I'd go with the original as it is in the book, and as certain I won't spoil which ones. Certain productions go with the original finish, and certain go with the other finish, shall we say? But then I just think that the original finish and the people I casted for it might overexcite certain Ring fans. But no, I think that would be a complete blast. Just have a full-on murder mystery with an A-list WWE cast.
I dig it. It would be Bruno Sammartino, probably the hardest get.
Yeah,
of that.
I was struggling with some of the because of the role.
I was surprised you wouldn't go with Ventura, because Ventura would have the same look, have the same chops, but is an actual actor.
True. I don't think Ventura's on the outs with them again. He seems to, make up with them and then go off every other decade.
Well, there you go. Those are our three movies. Those are wonderfully silly, and I'm very happy to hear them.
Stop laughing.
What? Why?
Quit that.
With all that said, that's gonna finish our episode 5 TV tray. You see what I did there? I knew that we were doing movies at the end. So TV tray. The titles mean something, guys.
I know.
I always make the titles mean something.
But we never know what name you have for it until we start the episode, so I always have to figure it out as we go along. Nice.
Yeah, well, so I have enough time to be able to find a table that works. I mean, I could just call it Grandma's Nesting Tables, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, we need to do a topic about grandmas, obviously. Who's got the hottest
Absolutely.
grandma in wrestling? That's my topic next week.
Oh, gosh.
Well, we already know who that is, though, don't we? That's Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
We already know that. With that said, that's gonna do it for us. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.
Catch you on the flip side.